Today on This, That, and the Other, we're open for business. If you've seen any of our content before, this video is going to be a whole lot more different than what that is. There's no cutting, there's no welding, there's no grinding. All the stuff you see me doing pretty much every other video there is. This isn't that one. This one is actually going to cover how I started my seasonal business of selling fireworks. In this video, I'm going to go through a lot of things, from things I learned the hard way, pluses to selling fireworks, minuses to selling fireworks, and just everything in between. So I hope you guys stay tuned and watch this, and maybe if you ever had some interest in starting your own seasonal business, this could help you. I know what you're thinking. What does it take to start a seasonal firework business? And I'm going to tell you, above all, I am by no means some type of greatest businessman in the world or anything like that. I just believe in treating people right. Above and beyond, the most important thing that's helped me to be successful in this business has been God, period, and my faith in him, to help me do right by others, to help me to be a better person, to not put money over anything else. That's the most important thing, folks. So I'm not gonna, this isn't the, here's how to become a millionaire in 2 nights. This takes a lot of work, but I'm telling you right now, put your faith in God. Without a doubt, that is the most successful thing that you can do whenever you're starting any business, much less fireworks or anything else. You have to have a knowledge and passion for selling fireworks. I absolutely love selling fireworks. It is, I love blowing fireworks up. So I always tell the story. There was an old firework guy that we went to every single year here in my hometown. He's since passed away, but what I would do is I saved tin cans all year long. So I would take those tin cans, maybe my dad's drinking a drink or whatever else it is, I had to smash the can, put it in the bag, and at the end of that year, technically right before fireworks season, we would take and go to local salvage yard, scrap them, and if I had $17.23, that firework guy that we went to would make sure that that was just, he made that out like it was $100 million. And I really try to keep that same thing going. I always tell people I started off blowing up maple leaves, thinking that was just the coolest thing in the world, then moved on to blowing up bigger stuff, which we won't talk about here, and then now it's just, I love fireworks. I love how unique they are, how just diverse one type of thing. It's not like, oh, there's a Roman candle. There's 50 different kinds of Roman candles anymore, and I really love trying to find that perfect product that my customers hopefully will like too. That being said, nothing in business I think you can be good at if you don't have a passion for it. So having a passion for those products, understanding how long will this product go, how many shots, how does it perform. There's some other features too with my particular fireworks that I have that will showcase here coming up later on. But just to give you a heads up with it, it's a QR code. Anybody, if they don't want to listen to me talk about the firework, they can walk up, scan the QR code, and it pulls up an exact video of that firework fully in action, ready to go. So understand your product and be passionate about trying to sell it. Help your consumers find the thing they didn't even know they wanted. Hey, I like things that, I like chaos. Okay, here's the one for you. Oh, I like more beauty and grandeur. Here's the one for you. So be extremely helpful with that. Another major thing too is you're gonna have to find a trusted wholesaler to purchase through. Now for me, I want to sell quality fireworks at a fair price. There's a lot of people that will buy cheap fireworks and sell them at a high price. That's not me. I want to sell quality. I want that firework to perform exactly how it is each and every time. And so finding a quality wholesaler to purchase through that sells a quality product couldn't be more important. For us, we use TNT Fireworks. JR Gin is going to get a shout out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's been fantastic to work with. Whenever I initially called him, any other brand I called tried to sell me on this, that, and the other for a million different things. JR, we just talked for an hour. Talked about fireworks for an hour. Phenomenal guy, and I really, really trust him and the company I'm purchasing through. Find that quality product, find that wholesaler that you can trust, and pick up a phone and call at the last minute, and he's like, yep, I got you, let's get going with it. Licensing. So if you're a felon or anything like that, this is probably going to be extremely difficult for you. You are buying basically a graded explosives, if you will. Licensing is, like, for me, I don't have any, I've never been arrested or anything like that. I've never had any issues with it, but you have to figure out what are the regulations by your local state. So for us here in Missouri, I know, you know, those stipulations are, but I don't know what Oklahoma, Texas, Indianapolis, Indiana, I don't know. I don't know their stuff. I know states will differ on that, but figuring out every license that you need, as well as what the fire marshal, basically fire marshals will inspect your tent and facilities. Make sure you know exactly what those things are too. Getting into what I'm sure you guys are more interested in, I'm going to keep this based strictly on my first year getting started, because that's what this video is for you maybe. I'm now in my 4th year of selling, but in my very first year of selling, the first thing I had to buy was a tent. I spent $7,000 on a tent. It was used, very, very unique tent, which I'm going to show here coming up directly. The next thing was a box truck. I bought the biggest piece of crap box truck you could imagine, and over the years, the last 3 years, have made it into a pretty trustworthy truck, pretty reliable truck. But you're gonna need some type of box truck. Especially in your first year, I use my box truck as my storage, as well as my transportation of the fireworks too. So if you don't have a reliable place to store it, make sure you have a reliable box truck that's sealed up tight that you can store those fireworks in. So tent, $7,000, box truck, $3,100, but I probably put a couple $100 in it to make it legal. $3,500, $4,000, somewhere in there, and that's the bare minimum that I could find cost-wise. The most inconspicuous thing that you're gonna have to spend a bunch of money on is tables. If you're just doing a traditional fold-up table, I do not know why tables are so expensive. If I could figure out how to make them, I would, and I would sell them. To get 10 tables and shipped was $1,600, and I shopped around as much as I could. So there's a lot of people that have different alternatives. They may use shelvings, different types of shelving. That part there is really going to be you being resourceful on. But for me, I went ahead and bit the bullet and spent $1,600 on freaking tables. So that sucks. It's a big expense that you're gonna have to go through. I threw miscellaneous down as about $2,000. What miscellaneous will entail could be an open sign. You're gonna have to have lights that go throughout the tent that is especially rated light. You're gonna have to buy those. You're gonna have to have extension cords that are rated at a specific what is ours? I think 14 AWG is what the wiring is. A lot of these are one-time expenses, but still things that you're gonna have to spend money on. So that's where I kind of have that $2,000 estimate in play for just miscellaneous anything. So yeah, that's a lot of what it takes to get started initially with it. I'm going to tell you right now, $15,000 is what I spent on my inventory the first year. $15,000 is not enough to be a true competitor amongst other tents. It was just all I had. By the time I spent the money on the tent, the bod strut, there's 10 grand, roughly another 5 grand in miscellaneous between the tables, all those other things. I spent a lot of money there. But the inventory for 15 grand, you're just not enough to have diversity, to have quantity. I think a more realistic number to that nowadays should be at least 20, but I think 25 is probably more realistic for what the inflation of prices and everything else has been there too. So, selling fireworks, seasonal sales, I will say one of the most terrifying things, if you can hear it, is rain coming down on this thing. So in today's case, we've got torrential downpours pretty much all day long. We got fireworks covered up just in case, but we're just kind of battening down the hatches. We got the thunder going, so God willing, we'll be here in the morning. Getting a little spicy out there. I almost forgot the absolute most pivotal thing that you're also going to have too, which is oh man, it is a must to have. So not every second of the day are you selling fireworks. There is a whole lot of just sitting and watching cars go by. So what could it be that you have to have that is so pivotal to do this? It is a comfortable chair, because you are sitting the whole time. So this sucker here can lean all the way back. I can be taking a nap right now waiting for people to show up. I can be half reclined just enjoying the day. I don't care what it is, you have got to have a comfortable chair, because you will be doing so much sitting. You'll walk paces around this place tenfold, but you gotta have a comfortable chair, without a doubt. That is a must-have. All right, so not everything gets to be positive, happy-go-lucky. You're gonna have to work for this thing in order to be successful. So let's talk about some of the cons that you're gonna battle while starting a seasonal fireworks tent. The first one, your biggest threat at all times, is water. Where does water usually come from? 9 times out of 10, it's the threat of rain. Whether it's rain, a thunderstorm, even more so condensation. And I have video clips that we can put in right now. A firework tent is basically like a big greenhouse. So whenever we have warm air trapped inside, and like last night it got down to like 60, I think, here in Missouri, we have what's called condensation that appears. So you can see the dots, the droplets that are throughout there. Every night I go through and I cover every one of my tables. I would rather be prepared for a night where we might have some condensation develop on the inside of the tent, or even a pop-up thunderstorm, versus not. So if you're thinking about getting into fireworks, this is super cheap. I do have a nicer tarp over there, but otherwise this stuff is buy it one time, use it for the rest of your life. This little kind of plastic sheeting for like house painting and stuff. So helpful hint to be prepared is definitely just take and cover your tables each night, and that keeps your product dry in case we might have condensation or whatever else may come alive. So just a helpful hint to show you exactly what those look like. But by all means, water is your biggest threat. Wind is also a severe threat. Don't just go buy an Amazon tent. Buy a quality firework tent that can withstand some wind. 9 times out of 10, I think they're rated like 35 to 40 mile an hour wind gust. That's something that you want on your side versus a little Amazon cheapy tent for recreational stuff. The next one's going to be the heat. We're going to talk about that here coming up too. The heat can be killer. Like right now, we're getting a little sweet taste of this 70-degree weather, but we start an excessive heat warning today, where it will be immensely hot, immensely humid here in Missouri. It sucks. You basically sitting here and you fry to death. So it couldn't be more important to have a quality fan. Let's show you my fan right quick. So you don't have to have, I mean, there's a million different types of fans out there. I just have this fan already, which you might have seen in some of the other videos, which is a Portacool. Now, Portacool fans, you can put water in them and drain that. Clearly, I don't have that here because water is one of our biggest threats. This fan has been fantastic, especially with these blades, because I can adjust them up and down, so I can have it blowing on me in the world's most comfortable chair, or I can have them actually blowing up if I have some condensation, you know, threats or whatever early in the morning. I can have it blow up and actually be drying on that. So I also keep a Milwaukee fan here too, which once again, you don't have to be Milwaukee, but why would you want anything other? I primarily keep this fan here just to shine on customers while they're being checked out, and that way they're helping to stay cool too. So 2 little tidbits there. You can put as long as they're rated for it, kind of like wall mounted fans, if you will, kind of like what you use for showing cattle. You can use box fans, you can use a lot of different things, but those are the 2 that I actually have. But heat is a very real thing. That heat is absolutely miserable, and there's days where you really don't leave your chair unless you absolutely have to because of how hot it actually is. The location, let's talk about that next. So we are very blessed to have a great location here right in the middle of my town that I'm in, that I'm from. The location is pivotal, so you may be sitting there wondering, why can that be a con? The reason why it can be a con is because of the fact of what your local regulations may have. So I'm very blessed to be in this place right in the middle of town, but it's only because it's out of city limits. Now you're saying, how is it in the middle of town, out of city limits? It was just never annexed in. There's 2 blocks that were just never annexed in. That's the only reason I get to sell in city limits, technically, not in city limits. Otherwise, I'd have to sell at the outskirts of town. There's many towns that have ordinances like that to where you have to sell out of city limits. So you can be creative and see about finding areas that maybe were just never annexed in as city limits. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck outside of town, which isn't the end of the world, but you definitely need to keep that in mind to figure out, where am I going to set this tent up. There are some towns that have no ordinances at all, and you can sell literally anywhere in that town. I don't have that luxury that's here, and there's many towns that follow suit with that. So that's why I have location listed as a con. We all know with any business, location is absolutely pivotal. But there are stipulations that are going to fall with that and selling fireworks anyway. So let's talk about one of the other big cons, which is going to be, you need capital. You need some type of money, some type of leverage in order to do this. If you're able to save up enough money and do it with cash, good for you. Pay everything off. That's the first thing I did as soon as we got through this, was tried to have everything paid off. That's what gets you to pure profit faster. Definitely, though, there's a lot of money involved. We're talking about this particular case in my first year. It's $30,000 I had invested. $15,000 of that I had in cash on my own. The other $15,000 I took out through a line of credit. If you don't have good credit, this is going to be extremely difficult for you to get started without that cash, without that capital that's there. I'm trying to think. Reality, you got to have it. It's, you know, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. You know, whether it be a line of credit, maybe it's a home equity line of credit, to where you're basically borrowing off of the equity you've built on paying off your house so far. Like my particular line of credit's actually done with cars, so my Shelby Mustang and then my Ford Power Stroke, those are both paid off, so those are basically acting as collateral for me to have a bigger line of credit. But capital is definitely going to be a big one. I think it will be different for different for who you are. You know, what type of financial position are you in? We talked about that earlier too. I did $15,000 my first year. I think realistically that number, for if you were going to start your own firework business, needs to be $20,000 or $25,000 easily invested before you get into actually being able to do this. So capital is going to be the next one I list as a con for selling fireworks. And here we have what I'm going to look at as maybe a final con, and maybe really not that big of a deal, which is sleeping in this tent. So some people may go about it and pulling all this product out each and every night. I think that's an absolute crazy idea. There is so much product in here to move in and out each time. You got to put it in the box truck, and next day you got to wake up, put it in. So I just sleep in here. I got a pretty nice cot that's there. I got a little insulated foam piece that's with it, blanket, pillow, sleeping bag. Now I will say some things that matter intently. You gotta have a little fan in here if you're like me. Couple things that keeps you cool, but it also keeps the bugs from trying to fly on you too. And then I always keep on this little Milwaukee lantern. Right now we got generator on, but it's getting ready to get turned off. So we are at that point to where we finished getting her buttoned up. I gotta get generator off. All the fireworks are buttoned up for the night and covered up. So I'm gonna get everything finished out, and we'll meet you down there. And here we have it, little light shining bright. Milwaukee fan, hard to see, but getting it done. And if you ever wondered what it looked like to fall asleep in a firework tent, this is pretty well lit, folks. So they get a little light rain on here, them ASMR videos, whatever that is, where it's that light rain on a tin roof. I guarantee you the light rain on a firework tent whatever canvas is twice as calming as what that is. So here it is. Love it or hate it, call it a con. I wouldn't call it a pro, but I wouldn't call it that big of a deal either. Always kind of cool to get to fall asleep in here. So there we have it. All right, so that's enough talking about cons as far as selling fireworks go. Let's talk about the pros. I argue the single-handed most important thing about, or most positive thing, most pro thing about selling fireworks or having a seasonal business, I think the most important thing is the fact that you're bringing an experience to the community. I haven't been the one with this business that's been down to the brass tats, and I'm getting ready to show you what that means. By all means, you can make money doing this. You can make good money doing this. But if you lose sight of the humanity of things, which I think too many businesses have done anymore, people want an experience again. It's not just this business transaction that weights up the world anymore. There's more to it than that, and it's actually providing them with an experience of something. You know, going to the fireworks stand can be an experience again. No different than going to a pumpkin farm or going to do this or going to do that. Not everything has to be down to that last dime and that last thing. People are looking to make memories and to grow, and I think if your business can offer that, it's just, I think the sky's the limit as far as success goes. So what does that look like here at the fireworks stand that I run? Let's take a look at it. So something I've done every year since we got started is actually make a game. So in this particular, the first year we had spin the wheel, then we've now got, or sorry, first year we had spin the wheel, then we actually had Plinko the second year. The third year I made a ring the bell hammer, and now we've got Plinko back again. So the whole goal is we see fireworks kind of scattered throughout down here on the bottom. Kids can come in, and no matter what they do, they don't have to spend a dime. They're still leaving here with a firework. That's an experience. Something else too is with our big rocket. So I really like the idea of things that silhouette us against other stands and competition, and the whole idea is that maybe people get their families out here and actually take a picture next to it. Another identifier about our tent, which we had in a picture, is the fact that it's not a traditional striped tent like you might see every other stand have. Ours is actually an American flag tent and looking majestic with that little bit of wave going in it there. So those types of things are super important, I think, as far as having a successful business, and I think can be just as big of a pro as anything. So, you know, it doesn't have to be about every last dollar. You know, Christ says that in the Bible. He says, you know, it's harder for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven than a camel to enter the eye of a needle. You know, that right there, don't let money be the whole purpose behind this. Don't let your heart become hardened to just making money. Make an experience. Give them something that they can enjoy and that they look forward to coming back, you know, and experiencing again. So that, for me, I definitely agree, is one of the biggest pros to this business whatsoever. Any type of business, I think, can have that same thing, but especially this one. So keep that in mind, and let's go on to our next pro. All right, so the reality is there are more pros than I could begin to mention. There's a lot of cons that I didn't mention so far too. There's a lot of things you're gonna have to figure out on your own. Put a lot of thought into it. Be critical with your thought. The aesthetic value of a seasonal stand or seasonal business, I think, is absolutely dire. Yes, we're in a tent. Do I like being in a tent? Sometimes I think it's cool, but at the same point too, they're hard to make look aesthetically nice. Go that extra mile to make them look nice. So what am I going to leave with this video as the final pro? The final pro is what most of you guys are probably wondering about too, which is the money. You know, can you make good money? And the answer is yes. Like we just mentioned in that last little clip, don't let money be the thing that rules it. Realistically, most stands are going to try to mark up 135 to 150%, or better yet, they're going to try to do you on a buy one get one deal, and they're going to try to make you hand over fist, make money off of you hand over fist. The whole goal is just be reasonable. You know, I mean, you're here to make money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't make money, but don't be greedy. I would say on average, most of our stuff is about 50% marked up. We may have some, you know, that changes a little bit whenever you get into smaller things, because they are, you're buying them in a bulk. They're usually pretty cheap. So you might see something go 100% markup, but that 100% markup is like $1. You know what I mean? So it's, you can make really good money on it. I think the biggest advice I can give is just don't be greedy. Don't be that guy that's after every last dime. If you're going to get into fireworks, sell quality fireworks at a fair price, and be happy. You know what I mean? Don't be greedy. Don't be, I want to buy the cheapest firework I can so I can sell it at 150% markup. Stop. It's you know, if that's the type of business you're wanting to do, this video is not for you. It's not for you. That's not the way that I do it. But yeah, the pro is you can make some good money on it, and it all depends on how much is that money you spend. Well, it depends on how much you invest. You know, it's we're in our biggest year right now of investment. I don't know what that's going to look like. You know, we're trending pretty well, but it's just a matter of what happens. You know, we've made it through some pretty hard storms. In 6 days, we've gotten 6.5 inches of rain. That's been endearing, to say the least. Has it affected sales? I think yes and no. We're getting ready to go into the week of the 4th of July. I think that's going to be, that's always pretty hot for us. But let's see, what does that profit actually look like? I think it varies on how much you invest into it. You know, in the year that I did 15,000, I think we made, which wasn't enough fireworks at all. I think we made, can't remember offhand because I paid so much stuff off. I want to say we made maybe 12,000 profit, I think, or something like that. So the more you invest, the more that you're going to do. I don't remember what we made, to be honest, in our first year. I should look that up. But yeah, the whole goal is you know, the more you invest, clearly the more you stand to make. But you got to be tactical with it. You know, are you going to buy stuff that they want? There's years that, like, I bought rockets every year for the last 3 years, and I have a hard time selling rockets. This year I didn't buy rockets. Guess what they want? Everybody wants rockets. So it's kind of tough to figure out exactly what to buy, and that plays a big role in it too. Do you have stuff that they want? Do you have a product that they want? And that's where that profit all comes into play too. So I would say that's a major pro, though. I wouldn't be doing it if we weren't making, well, hell, I probably would. I'm hard-headed enough and I love fireworks enough. I probably would still be doing it, but there is good money to be made in it. But it's a lot of work. It's 15 days of living here in a tent in the middle of a field in the middle of town. So it's I get about 15 minutes a day to go home and take a shower, and then I'm back here again. I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, stop the tent if it needs it, and I stay in here till 10:30 to midnight at night. It's a lot of work. So without a doubt, if people say, oh, selling fireworks is easy, think about it. It's there's a lot of things I've mentioned so far that it's not as easy as what you think, but it is very doable. So I'll leave that with my final pro for selling fireworks, though. I think that's a good one. One thing before I close this video that I do want to make a note of, that has to be made a note of, is expense everything. That's any business whatsoever, but especially with fireworks, if you start getting into a pretty good profit range, you need things to expense. Otherwise, old Uncle Sam's gonna take a lot of it. Expense your fuel, expense your ice, expense your water, expense your food, expense tape, expense everything you can. Expense, because the reality is the first couple of years, this is gonna go pretty easy for you, okay? You got a tent, you got a box truck, you got a lot of things that are getting expensed out, even if they're getting drug out, you know, being expensed over a series of years, that'll help. But you get into year 3, year 4, and those expenses, they start falling out. You've got things paid for, you've got things done. Be tactical with that too, on how to manage purchases, manage, you know, the expense of things to take them out on your taxes and things like that. So I don't want to forget that. That is so important. There are so many creative ways. If you have a good accountant, that helps a lot. They know a lot of ways that you can do those things. I would have never thought you could expense ice. I can expense ice. So I expense the heck out of ice because I get 2 bags a day of it. So every little bit counts, though. Go, 'Go, 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 I think that's going to finish this one up. So this has been my video on this, that, and the other of how I started my seasonal business of selling fireworks. Can you do it? Absolutely. Is there a lot of things that go into it? Completely. See about it. Figure it out for yourself. I always thought this would be a retirement type thing for me to do until I started getting my teaching career, teaching job. I've taught now for 7 years. I've sold fireworks for 4. It gives me the summer off and I'm able to do it then. So what does your career look like? Does your career allow you to have, in this case, 15 days is what it's taken me just of selling time here. Take that into consideration too. But that'll wrap it up. Another one here on this, that, and the other, where you literally, today we're talking about fireworks, selling fireworks, compared to the last video where Landon's talking about fixing a truck. You never know what the next video might be, so we encourage you guys to come back and watch it again. See ya.
American girls and American guys will always stand up and salute. We'll always recognize when we see your glory flying. There's a lot of men dead, so we can sleep in peace at night when we lay down our head.